Welcome to another edition of the 5-Star Zone. Not just any edition. This is the Big Ten preview edition. And normally, I got Howard Griffith joining me. We would just go back and forth. But this man had the keys. He had the Willy Wonka golden ticket. He went behind the scenes of 14 different programs. So, Howard, I'm not going to ask you about each and every program, but I do have certain questions. When you've seen all of the different schools and the different practices, what are a couple things that stood out for you the most?
Yeah, well, I think one of the things for me is Penn State, the offensive line looks so much better, probably the best they've looked, in the 17 years that I've been making these trips. It's been a long process for them to develop the line to where it is right now, and it looks like they're as athletic and really as talented as I've seen since I've been covering them. So I think that's one thing. I think that you look at Purdue, and I know there are a lot of questions. New head coach, defensive-minded guy, but this Hudson Card is the real deal at quarterback. The transfer from Texas, he really jumped out. Had a chance to see him in the spring, saw him again this summer, and it looks like he has been as good as advertised. And it's going to take some time, and they're going to have some bumps in the road, but I think he's going to be ready to go. Okay. So those are some of the things that stand out. I think Wisco's a lot better than I thought they were in the spring. I really thought they would struggle when I saw them in the spring, but there's an energy there that they had in the spring, but also in the summer. And I think it's one of those things where you think they're going to make this drastic change from where they had been. I don't think that's going to be necessarily the case, particularly on the defensive side, because they have so many, athletes at the linebacker position. So I would expect them to continue that, 3-4 defense, at least for the foreseeable future, because of what that roster looks like right now.
But what about offensively?
I think one of the things that they're going to spread the ball out, right? You start talking about an air raid style offense. They're going to push it, but they've got one of the best backs in all of college football. I think when you think about it, he's just going to have more room. They're going to add extra guys to the box, I know, defensively to try to slow him down, but he's going to have space. I mean, this is going to be a lot of one-on-one situations, whether it's safeties or linebackers in the hole, and they're going to have to make the tackle, because if they don't, he's going to be gone just by formation, what they're doing formationally there. So, I think it's a work in progress still offensively. You still never really know until you see them go out and play, but, it looks like they're going to be, ready to go.
Right, because I'm thinking you got Braylon Allen. You just lean on him. But I wonder, Howard, is this going to be like, remember when Rich Rod first got to Michigan and he just wanted to go full spread, and Michigan really wasn't – it sounded good on paper. But you realize I don't have the spread pieces that I need.
Yep.
And when it falls apart, are you willing to really say, okay, we're going to stick with the coach. We're going to trust the process?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I absolutely think and that's why I say I don't think they're going to be as drastically different as people believe, right? When we talk about the air raid offense, pass. I don't necessarily think that that's what it's going to be. And, this head coach has been around, right? There's a reason, he was able to get Cincinnati to the 14 playoffs, and he's done such a great job there when he was at Cincinnati. And now, he's added a lot of juice to Wisco. So, I expect them to, really change things up. But I think they're going to stick to what the bread and butter is. The offensive line looks pretty good, so they're going to lean on people. I think that's definitely going to be the case. I just think that what's going to be different is some of those holes are going to be a lot wider just because of formation. They've got some transfer guys that they've been able to get through the portal with the wide receiver spot, so they've got some help there as well.
Okay, and Tanner Mordecai, a quarterback transfer from SMU. So I'm interested, because I'm like, wow. I've always just imagined Wisconsin. They're the methodical, grind it out, beat you 20-17. So I kind of want to see some passing. You brought in Tanner Mordecai. We'll see what happens.
What's interesting about that, though, Rico, is that they tried to make this change. They've been trying to make this change over the last couple of years. It just, really hasn't worked for them from a personnel standpoint. They've tried to throw it more, but it just was not clicking. So hopefully a change in scheme, a change in leadership, will get this team going.
And now, when you look at, you know, you spoke about Penn State at the beginning of this.
Yeah.
Does Penn State have what it takes to challenge the big two in the East of Michigan and Ohio State, or is this simply it's going to come down to the final game again?
Hey, listen, I think that if I had to rank them, I'd go Michigan, I'd go Penn State, Ohio State. Now, they all have to play, right? But just what I've seen coming out of camp is different to me. And when it comes down to, you know, who has fewer questions about their team? You know, you look at Ohio State, for me, you know, they still have answers or questions defensively. You know, how are they going to be able to slow down the big play, stop giving up the big play? That's been a problem. Are they not going to get gashed up front? I mean, it looks like they've made some adjustments, but you still never know until they play those games, right? And you look at Penn State, to me, you know, with Drew Aller, he is, I think he's the real deal. And he got quality playing time last year as well. So this isn't going to be one of those situations where he just, you know, is going to be shell-shocked when he gets in the game. He's got a talented backfield, a really good offensive line. The receivers have really stepped up, in my opinion. So, you know, I think it plays right to them. And you look at the defensive side, they've really done a great job over there. They probably have 2 top 15 picks when you talk about their corner and Chop Robinson at the defensive line position. And they've got another guy on the other side that we haven't even talked about, Abdul Carter. So they are loaded defensively. So, yes, I think they absolutely have everything it takes to beat one, because that's what they need to do. They need to beat one of those teams. I'd probably say that Michigan is still a more physical team at this point, but I would say that the gap that was at one time between Ohio State and Michigan and Penn State has really closed.
So it could be a 3-team race.
Hey, my guy Gennardo says, you know, they're all of them have one loss. They'll lose to each other. So that's
right. Because right. I saw that, and then that's when it goes down to the convoluted Big Ten, basically rock, paper, scissors tiebreaker, because that's what it seems like.
Yeah, it's going to be fascinating, though. And then, you know, you look at the East still, you know, who's going to be that team that's shooting for number 4? And, you know, I think Michigan State is there. I think Maryland is there. Maryland has really done a good job of building their roster. They've gotten a lot better in the offense and defensive line, which is where they needed to get better, because that's, you know, it's the hardest thing to build. It's the hardest thing to recruit to for those teams. And it's like we said with Penn State, I mean, this has been, you know, really a 17-year project that we haven't seen an offensive line that's as good as what they have right now.
Before we get to Michigan State and Maryland, let's go back to Ohio State. They announced McCord a couple of days ago. Is it one where they're going to rotate quarterbacks in, or is he just going to be the guy?
You know, we saw him early. There really was no separation when I saw him. So I think that they're going to try to go with the hot hand. They're going to try to give him every opportunity, but they've got to call the game the way they want to do it. They've got questions on that offensive line. You think about, you know, Michigan, you know, 2 years in a row winning the Joe Moore Award. Right. Ohio State, as talented as we all know they are up front, they haven't even been a finalist. Illinois was a finalist last year. And Ohio State has not been a finalist yet. Now, individually, they've got all kind of talent up and down that line. Right. But when that group, who I know watches a ton of tape, and it's not one of these, you know, let's just throw darts and see who's putting up the best numbers type of award. Those guys put a lot of work into it. So, you know, Ohio State's got to figure that out. They've got to get to a point where, you know, they can control lines of scrimmage, and they have to do it on the defensive side as well.
Now, going back to Maryland and Michigan State, that really is coming down to the battle right now, it looks like, for 4th place. Yeah. You were at both camps. I mean, what do you see that's, I guess, that could help either one of those teams, you know, get in there and maybe knock off one of the big boys in the East and surprise everybody?
Yeah, I think both teams, that's what you have to be aiming for. If you're a fan of either one of those teams, you have to hope that they can knock one of those teams off, at least one of them. When you look at Michigan State, it's about stop giving up the big play, about really being solid on the defensive side, really trying to stay healthy as well. That's been an issue on the defensive side for them when they lost guys defensively. It really seems like the bottom fell out, and they've got to find a way to correct that. It looks like they've added more depth, but we still never know until they start playing the games, right? At the quarterback spot, the day we were there was really no separation. Another one of those places where we didn't see separation at the quarterback spot, but they've got an offensive line that to me was better. The backs are going to be fine. They just have to, again, it comes down to me, so much of it comes down to, what's happening under center, because that person can make or break you. And you talk about being able to extend plays, not turning the football over, and it's not all on him, right? But they've got to make sure that they can keep him upright. And that comes down, to the offensive line and the backs and tight ends, doing a great job in pass protecting to be able to protect these guys, give them a chance to push the ball downfield.
Yeah, it is. And for a little bit that I saw of Nate Carter to transfer in from UConn, as I'd like to tell, I'm like, look, he's not Kenneth Walker, but it's like Kenneth Walker light.
Yeah.
Kenneth Walker, half the calories. Like, don't expect that. But when I see some of the runs that they put out there on social media, and you just hearing people talking about it, and like this guy is strong. Like, he's a dude that if he gets a little bit of a crease, he could probably help out whoever that quarterback is going to be. I think it's going to be Noah Kim. It's going to probably get the initial nod since he's the incumbent quarterback. But, when I look at Carter, I wonder, can he – because last year they brought in backs, but they didn't really – it was unfortunate, but everybody compared him to Kane.
Yeah.
But I look at this now, and it's like, Howard, you don't want to be the man that replaces the man. You want to be the man that replaces the man that replaces the man.
No doubt.
That may be Nate Carter.
Yeah, and he had some big time runs when we were there, and he's athletic. He can put that foot in the ground and go. He can make guys miss, give him some wiggle. So I think he has it, but it's it still all starts up front, man. And this team has to be able to stay healthy and be able to make plays on the defensive side, being able to get off the football field.
Now you did your top quarterbacks of the Big Ten. I had a friend of mine, they wanted to know why you put JJ at the top. But I'm saying, is the best quarterback in the league in Maryland, in Talia Tungavaloa? Does he? Because he had the pedigree, and it looks like he. But for some reason, he just doesn't take that mantle over. Because when I look at all the quarterbacks, if I had one drive to win a game, I'm probably going to lean on him, but you didn't have him number one.
Yeah, I had him number two. And I think, just when I look at JJ and when I watch him practice, this is a Michigan team that follows JJ. They feed off him offensively, defensively. He's in the middle of it. I mean, he is he's got that it factor that you talk about.
He's him.
He can do it all, and that's not a knock against Talia. I think his personality, that's just not who he is, right? That's not who he is. He wants to go out and make the plays. I think he's done a better job last year. The push for him was, the coaching staff wanted him to stay in neutral. And what they meant by that was not get too high, not get too low, because he wore his emotions on his sleeve. And when you're the quarterback, you want to be even keeled. Even when things are going nuts, you have to have an air of confidence about yourself and the way you carry yourself that everything's going to be fine. I think it's close, but when you look at JJ, what he can do in the pocket, what he can do when he pulls it down and runs when they ask him to, which they don't do a lot. I not necessarily know why. I obviously want to try to keep him healthy, but that's a dimension to his game that can really take off. But JJ's just, he just has it. And to me, when you have that and you have as much talent around as he does, you're able to take full advantage of it, and that's what he does.
All right, Howard, I want to wrap this up with this. You saw all the teams practice. You saw the players, you talked to the coaches. Give me something that's going to be a big surprise for a lot of Big Ten fans that they don't really know about now, whether it's a person, whether it's a team, whether it's a certain position group.
Yeah.
That in about a month, you could say you heard it here on the 5-Star Zone first.
Yeah, I don't want to be a homer, but
be a homer.
When you, to me, when I watch this Illinois defensive line, they have a chance to be really, really special. Yeah, I know they have some questions in some other areas, but I think this is a team that's poised to be in position. They had a shot last year to represent the West. This may be their year because, yes, they're replacing the quarterback position. They've got some pieces at the running back spot that they have to get sorted out, but I think they're going to be well at that spot. But I think, with Aaron Henry as defensive coordinator taking over for Ryan Walters, who's now at Purdue, I think this Illinois team is ready to really take advantage of the opportunity that's out there, because the reality is the West is wide open. It really is. I think I would say six of the 7 teams have an opportunity. The only team that I don't think has an opportunity at this point is Northwestern, because of all the things they have going on the field and just the things that are happening off the field as well. So, you look at Minnesota, we're going to get an opportunity to see them tonight. You'll see Nebraska tonight. Those are 2 quality teams as well. Iowa with Cade, if he gets back to 100%, I think he's expected to play tonight. It's really going to be an exciting team to watch. They probably have more playmakers on that team right now than they've had in a while. But if I had to pick one, I would say keep an eye on this Illinois team, particularly this first month.
You heard it here. Howard Griffith says Illinois is going to win the national championship.
Well, that'd be nice.
I'm sure you would love it, Howard. And you know what? For you, I hope you get to see that, man.
Yeah.
I appreciate your time, Howard. I know you're busy, man. You can see him on the BTN network. He'll be on there tonight. We were happy enough to have him right here with us. We appreciate it, Howard. Thank you.
All right, my man. See you soon.